Hey there, welcome to a new live episode of Be the Boss of Your Money. We're all about live streaming and live episodes to bring you information, news, but more importantly, stock market lessons, investing perspective, personal finance, business talk. That's what the show is all about. Be the boss of your money. Today's subject is really just more of a catch up. What's going on with the market? There's been a lot of news. Oh, wow. Has there been a lot of news lately? We need to just catch up on everything, make sure we are grounded. The election, the big election, is only 4 weeks away. I can't tell you for sure if we're going to know who the president is going to be next January in 4 weeks, but I can tell you this: we have a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot going on. So today we're talking about an update, economy, stock market, stimulus, and the election. So I'm going to roll the intro real quick, and then we're going to get into this. We've got a couple of really good things to talk about. I want to give you some perspective, some ways to think about this that I been thinking about a lot lately. Okay, so here we go. And we're back. If you're just joining us now, I'm Mitch Goldberg. This is the live stream podcast, Be the Boss of Your Money. It's all about you being the boss of your money, not your money becoming the boss of you. This is the place that you go to learn about personal finance, investing, business talk, and other pertinent subjects. Today's story really is just about, I can cover a lot of, today's stories, but this is really more of about a catch up. Let's get our bearings. Let's get grounded. We've got an election coming up in 4 weeks. And I really want to just put everything together, catch us up so we know where we are now, and then we can move forward with a lot more perspective and a lot more clarity. I just feel like there's so much going on lately that we can use a little bit of clarity. So first, we're going to talk about the stock market quick update. Then we're going to get into the whole President Trump and a lot of people in the White House administration, COVID positives, just a lot to talk about. Stimulus looks like it has been stimulus talk looks like it's been called off. The report that has come out from the House basically ripping apart some of the biggest tech companies for monopolistic behavior. So just there's a lot to digest. So we'll go through this quick. Let's start with a quick screen share. We'll go through the market update, and then we'll bring you some perspective. And while I work, I'll work in important lessons and investing tips and business tips while we work in the stock market update. Okay, so as you can see, the Dow is off almost 400 points. S&P off down almost 50. NASDAQ down almost 200. Russell 2000 was not bad, off 4 points and change, barely noticeable, and the VIX continues to go up. Now, I want to talk to you just real quick. So we had a really good day yesterday. President Trump came home from the hospital, went back to the White House, all charged up. And the first of all, we all wish the president well. We wish our fellow Americans well. Okay, let's keep it classy, folks. So what I want to say is that I think one of the things that investors got really excited about yesterday was the possibility that we have a real treatment for COVID. Because if an overweight man who is in his mid 70s can come down with COVID and the symptoms and get ready so quickly with a specific drug regimen, well, then do we have a treatment or not? It looks like right now we do. Now, I've spoken to a number of doctors, real MDs. One in particular said, with the way it works with COVID is that you get the initial symptoms, but it's a very tricky virus where your oxygen levels can drop at any given time. But it takes you could even actually feel better, but then it comes back for a lot of people with your own immune system becoming all charged up and actually attacking your own body. And that's when you get into the real serious trouble. And that can happen a week or more after the initial symptoms come out. So that is something to keep an eye on. But we know that with the monoclonal antibodies, remdesivir and dexamethasone, the steroid that people are given who have severe symptoms of COVID. Those have all been given to President Trump, and we'll see how this whole cocktail uh, works out. So President Trump is determined to get back to his office, to get back on the campaign trail, all full of piss and vinegar. And he's, hard charging, and he's like, what, let's call off talks of the stimulus, of new stimulus. Now, I've been talking to you about this. We need stimulus if we want to see the stock market at least finish up strong for the year. And what I've been saying the last weeks is, if we don't get it, that's the impediment for the market. It looks like that's back on the table because President Trump said, what, we're not going to negotiate stimulus until after the election. So he's betting pretty big, that he'll have his majority intact in the Senate, and we'll get through, and we'll do something after, as he says it, after he wins. So maybe we'll get something, maybe we don't. The Congress still has to agree on it and still has to be negotiated. But I would think that any incumbent would want the stimulus because it'll help the economy, it'll help jobs. If we don't get stimulus, it's going to be a really bad Christmas. Okay, it's going to be a really ugly Christmas shopping season. So we're going to finish up and do a couple more things in the update. By the way, if you're watching this live, I'd like to welcome you. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. And if you're watching this in the replay, if you have any questions, certainly go ahead and ask any questions as if you were watching in the live. And I will see those. Okay. I see Adam is out there. What's up, Mitch? Looking good. Great job. Thank you, my friend. By the way, that Facebook post you posted, a little girl with her little blanket and her little chair eating her little carrots. That just hit me, man. That just like melted my heart. I love that. And well said. Thank you very much, buddy. And I really appreciate you joining me. We have to have you back. Adam was one of my best guests that I've ever had, and I want to get you back on very soon. So let's continue with the screen share. There's a few flies in the ointment that I've been worried about. One of them has been the VIX. We've been talking about how the VIX, that's the green one over here, keeps going up. You want that to go down, not up. And while the market's been recovering, and we seem like as of late last week, we were talking about a stimulus and we're getting pretty close. And even President Trump said, to his side of the aisle, let's get it done. I'm serious when I have my Dunkin' iced coffee. He said, let's get it done. Comes back from the hospital and says, forget it. Let's not even talk about it. We're not going to negotiate it. I think it's a negotiating tactic to get Democrats to move on the stimulus a little bit lower. But let me tell you why we should do stimulus now. Okay. The given reasons are that it'll help the economy now. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, came out today and said, we really need this, or else it's just going to be a really long, drawn out recovery. And, I see the empty stores, the going out of business signs. In my neck of the woods, up and down Route 110 on Long Island, you see the going out of business, and I see, restaurants that are closed. I was going down Jericho Turnpike. It's a main thoroughfare. It's, like Main Street for Long Island. And a lot of restaurants are closed. We need this. And this is like this all over the country. It's like this in the big cities. It's like this in the small towns. So we need the stimulus. Jerome Powell says it. Most economists will agree to it, even if you don't like the debt. But let me tell you why we should. Let me tell you why we should do this now. Why it's so important. Okay, I have here the 10-year Treasury 0.734%. All right, not so worried about the Bund. That's the German 10-year equivalent and the Japanese 10-year equivalent. I just want to look at the 10-year. Okay. The 10-year bond is 0.734%. So that's what it costs for the United States to borrow for 10 years. Okay. It was like 0.66, 0.65 about a week ago. So we could have borrowed, maybe 5, 10 basis points less. That's 10 basis points when the 10-year treasury is below 1% is a big deal. Okay, 0.1% when you're only at 0.7% on the 10 years is a big deal. And what we want to do is we want to borrow as cheaply as possible before interest rates go up. And I do see corn and other commodities, food and other. It looks like there's a little bit of price rises going up, plus a lot of agricultural issues with all the fires going on in California, dry weather. Prices look like they could start going up now. So if that happens, you could really see the yield on the 10-year treasury very quickly hit 1.1%. So the idea is not only should we borrow, but we should hit the HEROES Act of what the original HEROES Act was about 3.133 trillion. The market wants it. I mean, the market will absorb the paper because if interest rates are this low, then there's demand for treasury securities. You might as well raise the money now. You don't have to use it all right now. Keep some in reserve if you need it later. I remember the TARP was $750 billion, a troubled asset relief program in 2009, late 2008, and they spent $350 during the Bush administration. Then they left half of it over for the next administration, whether it be Bush or Obama. And that was a good way to go. And I think they should do that now. So this, to me, is a really good time to hit a really big fiscal stimulus package, hit the market, flood the market. The market will absorb it now. And it'll absorb it while interest rates are still really low. So it'll be a very inexpensive proposition in terms of the cost of money. So that's why we should do this now and not wait until rates go up. Right now is a time to borrow as much as possible. You don't have to use it all. But that's what I'm thinking. Okay. So that's why. So let's just take a quick look here. FANG stocks are down across the board. Listen, it's hard for the market to go up when the six biggest stocks are all down. And they're not just down a little. I mean, these stocks are down, quite a bit, all down 2% plus. This is a really tough day for all the FANG stocks to be down 2% plus on one day. After market, hopefully this will come up pretty quickly. But after the news that we just got that the House's report says that these are definitely monopolies, monopolistic behavior, talk in that report maybe about forcing divestitures, that would hurt them even more. All right, so let's move on. Reopening stocks were a mixed bag. Carnival Cruise, Norwegian Cruise lines were up, but airlines were down. Other reopening stocks were down. Marriott Hotels was up a drop. The Marriott Hotel is actually holding up pretty good in the mid 90s. It's holding up quite well. Movie theater chains are a disaster. I think, which one was it? The AMC networks might never open again. Regal has decided to close nationwide. A lot of news. It ain't so good. You know why? This is why we need the stimulus. The sector ETFs, utilities were the best performing part of the day. That's not a good sign because utility stocks are typically a flight to safety. So if you have a flight to safety, that means people are, investors are worried about the outlook on the economy. And I'm not just talking about until the election for 4 weeks, but maybe for the next couple of quarters. Consumer staples were the second best performing group, even though they were down. At the bottom, communications, which is dominated by the big tech stocks, consumer discretionary, financials were off a little, industrials were off. It's just an overall downbeat day to the market. So let me get rid of the share screen. Okay, so let's get into this. So we need to get grounded. The election is 4 weeks away. If you don't get the stimulus in the next week or two, it's just not going to happen. You've got a lot of politicians who are fighting for their political life. They need to be on the campaign trail. They need to be in their home state or their home district. So as it happens tonight, we have the debate, between the vice presidential, presidential debate, and that's really important because when you have senior citizens running for president, you need to see how the younger vice presidents are going to handle the debate, because there's a really good chance that one of them could actually become president, just based on the age demographic of the senior citizen presidents. So I'm not trying to be, anti-old people here, okay? Age discrimination. This has been reported all over the media, all right, that this is a big deal, today's vice presidential election, more so than usual. Okay. Plus, Kamala Harris is known to be a really good debater, and Pence is pretty good too, and he's also very cool, calm, and collective. So it'll be an interesting debate. Okay. So we went over the stock market. The election is a couple of weeks away. Crazy, Thursday night, it was really early Friday morning, like 1 a.m. The announcement comes out. President Trump and Melania Trump are COVID positive. They go to Trump goes to the hospital, comes out full of piss and vinegar on the campaign trail, wants to show everybody how strong he is and how he's over this. Maybe we have the right course of medication and it worked. And he says, we're not negotiating. And he wants to really come from a position of strength and show power and vitality. So that's what's going on. So he called off the negotiations until after the election, again, for the stimulus. So that's one thing. I think that if we don't get stimulus by the election, I don't really see how we get stimulus after the election, especially if if members who lost their seat, because the Senate will still have the majority until January. So I don't really know how any of them are going to be motivated to go with the stimulus, or at least to negotiate. Okay, because that dynamic of the Senate, Republican majority in the Senate does not change just because of the election. They're still in office for a few more months. All right. So I also don't think that Trump, though, wants a stock market to get crushed right before the election, because he's really touted that as a metric for him to gauge the strength of the U.S. economy. And I don't think we want to see a lot of layoffs announced. The airlines are getting ready to do a massive round of layoffs. House Speaker Pelosi said, just hold on, don't do it yet. We're going to get the stimulus very soon. That was last week. But now that that's off the table, I don't think anyone's going to really hold off with layoffs. You don't want to do your layoffs, after Thanksgiving, right before Christmas. You want to get those over and done with right now. There's no good time to announce layoffs, but I think you could see a lot of layoffs in the next couple of weeks. And I don't think these are helpful for any incumbent, Republican or Democrat. So we are playing with fire here. And that's it's going to create, to me, a tremendous amount of anxiety and uncertainty for investors over the next couple of weeks. So last week we were looking good. We were looking like we're getting the stimulus package. Now we're not. President Trump could change his mind at any given time and say, okay, well, we'll make a deal if it's this, and we'll see if anybody wants to blink. The Democrats probably don't want to blink because they want a bigger, bolder stimulus plan, and they want to make sure that they look good, saying, hey, look how much we were doing for you. But the Republicans shot us down. The Republicans are saying, we want to have a big, grandiose stimulus, but we also want to protect the economy and the budget deficit and make sure we do it responsibly. And that's what we're all about. So it's a very tough position to be in. So that's really about it. We had a nice little rally the last couple of weeks. Looks like, no promises. It looks like it's going to be repealed. And I hope this catches you up. So let's just sum it up. We'll do Barney Says. You remember Barney at the end of the show? They do Barney Says and catches us up. The stock market's had a nice little rally recently. I think the little rally will probably pause. I think eventually we will get a stimulus. Okay. The election is 4 weeks away. It looks like in every poll, Biden is polling well and way ahead of Trump. But nobody wants to rely on polls because we all saw what happened in 2016. So everyone is going to have a tough fight going forward. And as far as stimulus goes, listen, I don't really even think it matters so much about the election. As long as we get stimulus now, I don't think the election, it makes the election a lot less important. But one thing that's going to bug investors is that the House, which is, majority is the Democrats are in control of the House. When they come out came out and said, hey, we have an issue with monopolistic behavior of the big tech stocks. That is kind of gives you an idea of where the Democrats are heading in terms of business, anti-competitive regulation, things of that nature. So that could actually work against them. It could help them as well. So that's about it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Carlos is out there. Hey, Carlos, man, thinking of you as well. Thank you very much. I'll give you an update. I don't mind saying this on the live stream. My wife was recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and it's going to be a really tough battle, and we've got a lot going on. And Carlos and I are personal friends, and he's aware of what's going on, and that's why he's been thinking of me, and I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to go. I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.